understands the complete life cycle of these, children and young people. So the 4 key elements, it starts with preschools, it starts at sort of 2, 3, 4-year-old. Then when they go to school, they have what's called kids clubs. Then as they get a little bit older, as they get into their teenage years, it's about vocational training to help them to learn some basic skills to start their own sort of small business. And then the last piece of the puzzle is called Village Savings and Loan Association, or VSLA.
We went to visit a preschool that's several years down the path in HOPEHIV funding. They had a roof over their heads, a classroom, toilets, a kitchen.
It was also, I think, a very safe environment. Kids, as you say, look very happy.
It really is about the fundamentals. It's basic Chichewa, which is their language, basic English, simple reading, writing, arithmetic.
So do you remember the preschool that we saw that was at the very early stages of assistance, that initial joyful reaction? Once we'd scratched beneath that surface layer, it was very obvious some of the differences from our first preschool visit to this one.
It's a pretty desperate situation where that particular preschool is. So there isn't a roof over anybody's head. You're sitting on a large, dirty tarpaulin. The kids are dirty, their clothes are dirty. They don't look as clean, they don't look as healthy. There's the distended bellies.
We met Rhoda, who was 19, married with 1 kid herself, and had been trained as a tailor through HOPEHIV funding.
So she's a single orphan. Her father died when the kids were young. She's one of 5 girls. So we got that great photograph of all the all the sisters in a row together. Initially, getting a sewing machine and getting the training and getting some basic tips and techniques for how to run a small business has been really, really transformational for that sort of broader community.
But it's just that ripple effect outwards from her. Very small beginnings, but it's starting to make a huge difference.
We were lucky enough to go and visit a VSLA group in action in one of the communities we visited.
And they were very, very keen, again, to put on a good demonstration of how it worked.
Remember those 4 plates they had on the ground?
So there's 4 plates. One was savings. So that's the money that they are looking to lend out. The second one takes repayment, so when people are paying you back. The third one is for welfare, which is effectively a sort of emergency fund that they can use if anybody in the community gets into any trouble. And the fourth one was fines.
It's always hot money, as HOPEHIV call it, in that it's all through the community. No cold money or outside funding is put in. This is the money that these women have raised themselves, and that way it's all protected and self-governed.
And it's not particularly scientific stuff. I mean, one of the examples we saw was a lady who, she was effectively a fish retailer. She bought fish at wholesale rates and then she retailed it in her community, but she'd borrowed $5 and she was going to repay $6 in 4 weeks' time, and that was it.
The other thing it did, of course, was provide support, mutual support for everybody. It became, I think it's a social thing. We met so many brilliant people right the way through, from Mark and Oswald, who obviously we all know about, doing tremendous work, but the people surrounding them.
When we were on that third day, and that was a hard day, right? I mean, that's some of the toughest things I've ever gone through. And as we're walking through that village, and the guys are doing the doo-doo dance for the third time, and you're just about on the edge of cracking up, Mark turned around to me and said, "This throws your fundraising efforts into a whole new light." And I thought at that stage I was about to sort of burst out crying there and then. But that sense of appreciation for what you've done, as a company, as a project, as an individual, that comes across, and then you see quite how far that goes. It's quite overwhelming.
When we came back, a lot of people said, "How is Malawi, Ellie?" And I just turned around and I kept saying, HOPEHIV works. It just works. The model is there, and it is just a fantastic charity. The trip was overwhelmingly positive.